Welcome to Klaipėda, the sea gate of Lithuania. You'll find Klaipėda city right at the Baltic coast in the west of Lithuania, more than 3 hours drive from the capital Vilnius, and just half an hour from Palanga airport. Klaipėda is the third largest city and the only port in Lithuania, so it can be reached by ferries coming from Sweden and Germany, or via cruise ship. The population of Klaipėda city is around 150,000 in 2021. Probably the first thing that you will notice when you come to Klaipėda is that it looks very different from the rest of Lithuania. And it is very true because it used to belong to Prussian and German lands before it for many centuries. So much of Old Town's architecture looks pretty much like Germany. Here's a brief history. Klaipėda, or Memel, which was the city's name in the old times, technically is the oldest city in Lithuania, but it was established by the Teutonic Order, who took over the land from the Baltic tribes. So it wasn't so Lithuanian back then. But the city grew more after the Kingdom of Prussia was formed, and later German Empire until the First World War. Only after the war in 1923, Lithuania united Klaipėda region with the rest of the country, only to be taken over again by Hitler in 1939, and when the majority of the people left to Germany when the Soviets came in 1945. And we all know how that ended. After the independence from the Soviet Union in 1990, Lithuania became whole again. So here we have it now, a Lithuanian city that looks German, but almost nobody speaks German there anymore. But Klaipėda today is a very fun place to visit. There is so much to do, from seeing the old town and museums, to taking a ferry to see a dolphin show, and the beach on the Curonian Spit. And if you want to see what the city can offer at the most, then visit it during the Sea Festival, which takes place in the end of July, attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors every year, making it probably the largest festival in Lithuania. Popularity record was in 2002, when the festival was at the same year as the city's 750th birthday and attracted 1 million of visitors. But usually the festival attracts around 500,000 visitors, this year as well. This traditional feast is a long-lasting yearly tradition, which started back in 1934 and only gained popularity with time. During the festival, you'll see numerous free concerts of famous Lithuanian singers all around town, outdoor theater plays, large arts and crafts fairs, international sailing regatta, and a parade of historical ship fleet through the Danube River. That's a whole big experience of Lithuanian and maritime culture in one weekend. However, if you would prefer a more quiet visit and want to see more of the sights on a normal day, then let me show you what else the city has to offer. First, we visit the old town, settled at the bank of River Danube. Here you can see all that German influence in architecture walking through its cobblestone streets. There you'll also find the old warehouses all built across the riverbank, which now became one of the main places for dining out and having a drink in the city. There are plenty of pubs where you can try traditional local beers. Klaipėda has been brewing beer since the city was first built more than 760 years ago, and today has one of the largest breweries in Lithuania. The heart of Klaipėda's old town is the theater square, where all the main events happen. And of course at one end of it there is the city's drama theater. Here are some more prominent buildings of old German-style architecture. Klaipėda University, built in early 20th century, which was first used as army barracks. Next, Central Post Office, built in 1893. However, the post moved out recently, and currently the government is considering many options what the building could become in the future. And one more beautiful building is the 18th century warehouse, that is currently a hotel, situated right at the port. Next to this warehouse, there is the only swing bridge in Lithuania. It was built in 1855 and is still used until this day. Also, don't be alarmed by a dark figure trying to get out of the water right next to the bridge. This is the Black Ghost, who, according to a legend, built this bridge, but was punished by God for scaring people and was immobilized there. Klaipėda is famous for sculptures all around town, and they all have their own stories, which you can hear when you find them while exploring the city streets. There also is a park dedicated to sculptures too, a serene place for a walk in the middle between the train station and the old town. One thing you probably noticed already, the River Danube is the main artery of the city, where all the boats were able to reach the town back in the old days. Today it is still a nice place to see various small boats, rent one to go to the sea, or take a ride on the water cycle along the river. But one thing I still must mention about the river, that in it lies the most famous symbol of the city. Mooring at Dani riverbank, right at the old town, is the sailing ship Meridianas. It was built in 1948 in Finland for Klaipėda Maritime Academy, where it was used for learning for 2 decades. And since the 70s it became a restaurant, and throughout the decades it slowly became the city's symbol. Today it is not just a restaurant, but there also is an exhibition of ship's parts and tools inside. Klaipėda has a lot of museums too. Let's talk about the ones on the mainland first. There is Klaipėda Castle Museum, which was the first building built in Klaipėda, but it didn't survive throughout the wars. In the museum you can see some of its ruins and an exhibition inside. Next to it there is a museum called 3945, which is the period of Hitler's rule in Klaipėda. Another museum is inside an 18th century house and is dedicated to the history of Lithuania Minor, the whole Klaipėda region, which used to be a part of Prussia and German Empire later. Close by there is Blacksmith Museum, in an authentic blacksmith house. It is mostly dedicated to a famous 19th century blacksmith, Gustav Katske. And one more museum in the city is all about clocks, where you can learn all about clockmaking and see more than 1,700 clocks and watches. Nearby there also is a nice picture gallery. In Pranas Domšaitis gallery you can see not only his collection, but also plenty of over 20th century and earlier works. Now, if you want to see the most popular museum in Klaipėda, Lithuanian Sea Museum and Dolphinarium, we have to give it an extra effort. We have to reach the Curonian Spit, that is the slim strip of land separating Kuršių marios, which contains Klaipėda's port, from the Baltic Sea. There are 2 ways to reach it: the ferry for cars further from the old town, which is mostly dedicated for those who travel to Neringa, and the pedestrian ferry in the old town, next to Dani river mouth. Once you step on the other side, you'll find yourself in Curonian National Park. It takes the whole of the Curonian Spit, which contains probably the most unique landscape in Lithuania, but we will talk all about it in a later episode, because most of the Curonian Spit is another municipality, Neringa. But here in Klaipėda, near the ferry, there is Parks Visitor Center, which is a great place to start exploring it. So from here it is best to walk towards the Sea Museum, because there are more things to see on the 1.4 kilometer long road. There is an ethnographic exhibition of a 19th century fisherman's homestead, and all sea boats exhibition, and even a greenhouse with tropical butterflies. Then there is the Sea Museum. It is best to save a better part of the day for it if you want to explore everything in the museum. It is interesting for all family and is very popular. Probably most of Lithuanians visit it at least once, and I visited it numerous times as well. If you go there on a summer weekend, make sure to get a ticket beforehand to avoid queues. Museum is located inside the historical Nerija fort, built in 19th century by the Prussians. All around the museum you can see the fort's exhibition too, as well as sea navigation history exhibition. Inside the main building you can see 160 species of fish and other sea creatures inside the aquariums. There also is an exhibition of other sea life like corals and extensive seashell collection. It is also exciting to go through the aquarium's tunnel, where you can see the main aquarium from below. There also are a lot of educational activities for kids. After seeing everything in the museum, it is also great to visit the dolphinarium. There is a fun dolphin and sea lion show, which happens multiple times a day during the summer and on weekends in winter. There also is a dolphin therapy center. Then after this, it is nice to have a walk towards the pier to see the edge of the Curonian Spit and the entrance of the port. It's a great place to watch ships passing by. On the seaside there begins the beach that goes all along the coastline, a serene place to escape the noise of the city, just a short walk through a pine tree forest from ferry. There also is another popular beach in Klaipėda that can be reached without taking a ferry. Instead, go to the northern side of the port to the area called Melnrage. It is a popular, easy-to-reach place, so it can get crowded on hot days. There also is the northern pier, the same like on the other side. It's also loved by locals for watching sunsets. The beach itself is very long, so inside the city boundaries there also is the second Melnrage beach and Girulei beach. Both are more further from the port. Here it is a much more calmer place to be around, but still easily reached from the city center by car or public transportation. Also, all along the sea coast there are plenty of beach and water activities you can do. beach volleyball, surfing, kite surfing, paddleboarding, sailing, and even parachute jumping. Furthermore, for bicycle lovers, there are bike paths all along the Curonian Spit, as well as from Melnragė to Palanga and Šventoji resort towns. And lastly, let's talk a little bit more of a classic outdoor place in Klaipėda. It is Klaipėda University Botanical Garden, located at the edge of the city on the bank of the river Dan. There are more than 4,000 varieties of plants. Although the garden is smaller than one in Kaunas, in general it is a pretty place for a walk or have a picnic if you have more time to spare in Klaipėda. To sum up all this, I can say that Klaipėda is a must visit for anyone who wants to see more diversity in Lithuania. It even looks different to Lithuanians coming from other regions. And there is so much to do here, from enjoying the old town, bars with craft beer, seeing the ships passing by, and going to the captivating sea museum or the serene sandy beaches. See you in Klaipėda. Thanks for watching.